What's going on, my seventh grade science students? Let's get this party started. Oh, hey, we got more than just one student. It's Jonathan. What's going on, John? All right. I believe that I have a science lab scheduled for Wednesday. Is that what you guys have in your calendars? I don't remember whether I put it up or not. No, and I think. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I'll double check and I'll send you guys out an email by within an hour or so to let you know if we have a science lab on Wednesday. But I'm planning it at least, and it's amazing. It's completely amazing. Um, and so today's lesson is basically finishing off chapter 7 so that way we can do well in our lab on Wednesday. And then next week, we're going to be starting up chapter 8, which is talking about plants. And we're probably going to spend a lot of time on plants. So it's not going to be as much homework, but what we're going to do is we decided that we are going to not only to learn about plants, but we're actually going to do a lot of labs and a lot of experimentation on plants. And the reason why I chose this topic to really expand on and do a lot of labs on is because these are the kind of labs you guys can do at home. Like you can't really do a lab on the heart or the lungs or the liver or the kidney or the human body or that kind of stuff, labs. But you can totally do a lab that has to do with plants and whatnot. And so what I was thinking is to give you guys the basic overview on plants, and then, so this is starting next week, give you guys a basic overview on plants, finish off that chapter, and what we're going to do is we're going to hold our own school-wide mini science fair, where we're going to compete with the 8th graders, and it's not going to be like this Filter Fest thing. We're going to be doing our own science projects. I'm probably not even going to have you guys work in groups unless you guys really want to, but I want you guys to work separately, and you guys will be working on your own science fair projects. And then at the end of the year, we're maybe going to come together and build and put together our little presentation boards and display boards and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense to you? And then I think chapter 9. Let's see, what does chapter 9 have? I remember the chapter 9 has something to do with the environment and its changes, and that we're going to cover before the end of May comes around. But that's pretty much the gist of what we have planned. So chapter 9, we're going to start maybe, let's see. I might push this chapter 9 back, but we will be talking on chapter 9. One second, the panda's loading. We'll be talking about ecosystems and biomes and all of that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much the recap of what we're planning to do for the rest of the year. Sound cool? All right. So let me give you kind of a preview about what we're going to be doing for Wednesday's lab. Wednesday's lab, I'm writing it now, and I'm really excited about it. It is a very fun one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a fake murder crime scene. And the victim of this murder crime scene is going to be Miss Waterhouse. I'm letting you know ahead of time. And yeah, you guys. Well, no, I just think it's funny that you guys think it's funny that your 7th grade English teacher, your 7th grade science teacher, is writing a story about your 7th grade English teacher being murdered. Maybe not murdered, but we don't know. So it's going to be. She gave me a bad grade. That's what she gets. No. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's go on. So the victim of this is going to be Miss Waterhouse, and what we're going to do is we're going to analyze different things that happened. And this is my way of kind of reinforcing and teaching you folks about the different organ systems that we have, and we're going to really analyze those things and look at all of these pieces and all of that kind of stuff. And so we're going to have like a heart and a stomach and that kind of stuff. And please keep in mind, and in fact, I'm putting this out in front as bold letters, but I didn't actually murder Miss Waterhouse. The heart and the stomach and all of that kind of intestines and all of that kind of stuff that I have prepared for you guys is pig intestines and pig heart and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go to the butcher shop early in the morning and get those things. But we're going to pretend that we are the crime scene investigators investigating this murder scene. Yeah. So I'm putting that out in front, that in the thing, in the story, it's going to be like, well, we're actually investigating the heart of the victim and all of that kind of stuff. But no, don't worry. Miss Waterhouse will be safe and sound with you folks on Thursday for class. All of that kind of stuff. We didn't actually murder her. I know that you guys really like having her as a teacher, so yeah. I just asked her because she was somebody that you guys all knew, and I thought it would be kind of interesting for you guys to investigate that murder. Cool? So anyway, that's my awesome lab that I have set up for Wednesday, and I think it will be a lot of fun. And we're going to have to dissect a heart and a stomach and some intestines, and I think we're even going to do a kidney and a liver. I got to go down to the butcher shop and figure out exactly what I'm allowed to get and all of that kind of stuff. For those of you who are off island, I will try my best to do all these different kinds of things for you folks with in an online thing, and I'm going to make it kind of a CSI where I'm going to give you all of the email or all of the information, and then you folks go in and figure out exactly how this person died. Are we cool? But for now, yeah. And again, out in bold letters out in front that these are pig intestines and pig stomach and pig heart and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not actually presenting you with actual human organs, that we're looking at. Although, in the story, I'm going to say that, we are trying to figure out the cause of death of this person, and so we need to dissect these different things. Yeah, but I don't want to be too morbid, and so I'm basically giving you folks. I'm saying that all up front, so not to freak you out. Are we cool? All right, let's talk about the skeletal structure, because one of the things, and I'll tell you what we're going to do is, one of the lab tomorrow is going to be of a suspected suicide, and the suspected suicide that we think that we see is actually a on Wednesday. We're going to do it on Wednesday, but I got to set it up tomorrow with Miss Waterhouse, and we're going to look at those different things. But anyway, not tomorrow, on Wednesday. But one of the things we're going to look at is the skeleton structure, because the way that we suspect this person was murdered was through suicide, hanging. They hung themselves. But we all know that Miss Waterhouse wouldn't do that, so we're going to look at that as a possibility, but also look at other different culprits as far as, what actually happened. Yeah, well, that's the way I'm going to run my lab, is I'm going to let you guys be CSI detectives for the day, for the lab. And I'll give you guys all of the information to solve the crime. And then you guys got to figure out what happened and how it happened. Does that sound interesting to you, or does that sound too morbid? All right, all right, okay. Let's talk about the skeletal structure. Now, I'm sure that you folks know a lot about this stuff, and a lot of this stuff that I'm going to talk about in today's reading, and I want you guys to go through it. But in today's reading, I want you to go through this mainly because it's good preparation for what we're going to be doing on Wednesday. So, all right, have you ever opened up your mouth for a dental checkup, as in this photo, or shoot a basketball? Yes, I'm sure that you have. If not, don't give me a hug because your breath might really stink. If you've never gone to a dental checkup or whatever. Or, I'm sure that you shot a basketball or swim in a pool. And what's amazing about the human body is it can move in all these different kinds of ways. It really is a very flexible system, and it's pretty amazing. All of the different poses and all the different poses and all of the different ways we can contort our body and move them, and even hold our skeleton structure still, so that way we can take a picture or balance or on one leg, or be those statue guys who spray paint themselves silver and stand out in front of Waikiki and stay still for hours and hours and hours. What we're going to be learning about is two organ systems. One organ system is called the skeletal structure, and the other organ system is called the muscular structure. I'm going to go through this lesson, and then we'll be done. Hopefully we'll be done pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot I need to really explain deeper to you, but I definitely do want to cover these different topics. All right, so what does your skeleton structure do? Well, adults have about 206 bones. There are different parts besides just the bones that are part of our skeleton structure. For example, ligaments, tendons, and cartilage are all a part of the skeletal structure. The skeleton structure, yes, they absolutely help keep your body together. One of the things they do is they store things. The bones actually store different types of minerals, and one of the main minerals that it stores is calcium. There's a lot of different uses for calcium, and there's different good sources for calcium. One of the best sources we can get our calcium from is cheese and milk. And calcium is really used a lot in the muscle. The muscles can help use calcium to contract, and also it's helped to build a stronger and yet more densely compact bone. We can use this calcium to help us with our bone structure. All right. You're absolutely right. It keeps the body together, but it also provides, the skeleton provides a stable support for our body to be built off of. If we didn't have our skeleton, we would basically look like beanbags. So our skeleton helps us to stand and run and raise our arms and sit up and all of that kind of stuff. One of the big, don't break anybody's heart. They only have one. Break bones. They have 206. I don't know. Yeah, there are 206 bones. Yes, exactly. One of the main skeleton uses or reasons for having it is it provides a lot of protection for our organs. For example, one of our most important organs, or two of our most important soft tissue organs, is our lungs and our heart. And what protects which bones? Yes, exactly. The rib cage is the bone that protects the bones that protect the lungs and the heart. What another major player in the important organs that we need is our brain, right? And what protects our brain? The skull, exactly. The skull is your skeleton structure that protects the soft tissue. So you can see how this is really important to protecting different pieces of, very important pieces of our body. It without a skeleton structure, we wouldn't be able to move. And some interesting things about bones is bones are organs that contain two types of issue. First is compact bone, and the next is the spongy bone. Let me show you in this figure right here. The compact bone is the harder outer layer of the bone, and the spongy bone is the stuff in the middle. This is a spongy bone has a lot of different types, different holes in it, and the different holes is what what it uses to store different kinds of things. And you're right, absolutely. Some bone, not all bone, but some bone, um, has contains what we call bone marrow inside. And this is a part of our lymphatic system that makes the white blood cells. So remember, we needed the bones to make the white blood cells to help us with our immune system, and it actually comes from the bone marrow. The muscular system. Now, the muscular system works in conjunction with the skeletal system. The muscles inside of your cells inside of your legs and arms are pretty much the ones that you think of, but we have muscles inside of our eyes, our heart, the blood vessels. Without the muscles, we wouldn't be able to move anything. We wouldn't be able to see because our eyes wouldn't be able to move. We wouldn't be able to live because our heart wouldn't be able to move. Muscle cells are everywhere, and these muscle cells make up your muscular system. There's three different types of muscle tissue. One is called the skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and the smooth muscle cells. Skeletal muscle cells work with the skeletal systems to help you move. What you're going to do is you're going to find, when we look at these things under a microscope, you're going to find that these muscles are are kind of long and stretched out. That would be like the muscles that you have in your biceps. They're long and stretched out, and that's because we want these muscles to be able to contract and pull and slide against each other, and that's why you'll see these muscles really long and stretched out, because that's kind of what they're able to do. All right, another type of muscle system or tissue is called the cardiac muscle, and the cardiac muscle is only in the heart. And this looks different under a microscope, and we'll be able to look at the different, cell tissues under the microscope when I get in our Wednesday's lab. But one of the things we'll be able to see is the cardiac muscle, and what its job is to do is continually contract and relax. And so it's a special kind of muscle tissue that doesn't look like your bicep muscles at all. Another type of muscle is the smooth muscle, and this can be found throughout your body. A lot of times your organs, such as your stomach or bladder, have this smooth muscle tissue, and those will look a little bit different. And we can look at these things in the microscope when we get them. Are we cool? All right. I wasn't necessarily going to talk about the nervous system. I'll let you read up on it, but it's not necessarily relevant to our lab as much. I think it's really important and interesting, and so it definitely should be something you read. And then what else was I going to cover? Oh, and then the last one I would think I was going to skip, actually. And I have no reason for skipping this. I just don't necessarily have the time, per se. But the other thing I was going to skip was actually the reproduction and development. So that would be talking. I think that when we talked about like meiosis and sexual gametes, it really freaked you out. And so this is talking even more about that in detail that's going to freak you out even more. So I think that I decided I was going to skip this topic, which I think is fair. Yeah. Anyway, here's what my plan is for. Let's see. Well, see there, you can see that I was calling the butcher shop to try to um, get a hold of these different pig stuff. Yeah, I know. I looked at this and I was like, oh man, I could do some roast pork with crispy skin. Oh, I love that. Anyway, maybe you guys might not want to eat pig the day before your our lab. Because we're going to be dissecting pig, and so that'd be kind of gross. But it does sound good. Yeah, totally. But anyway, I'm working on redoing the lab, and so here it is, and we're going to be looking at the the code case or the case files for this. And you guys, I'm actually going to be changing a lot of these numbers up, but you guys will be the crime scene investigators. So, with that in mind, again, I need to remind you. In fact, I'll probably send out an email to everyone saying that in the lab, I'm going to tell you that we have the victim's heart and their stomach and all of these kinds of things. But in actuality, I got it from the butcher shop. I know that this is the fourth time I'm telling you this. I just don't want to freak anybody out. Your teacher will still be here on Thursday. Okay? Is that clear? All right. Oh, Jonathan doesn't. Well, you know, go eat if you're so hungry, man. All right, I'll talk to you later. Yeah, that'd be a good question. Are there any vegetarians or vegans participating in on Wednesday's lab? That would be a good question. I guess I'll ask that, but I'm not asking anybody to eat this stuff at all. I'm just asking people to dissect it. But maybe people will feel real squeamish about that. So we'll see. All right. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.